Hello, thank you for coming back to the official YouTube channel for the monarchy of Bir Tawil. Now, those who have been following the issues in Bir Tawil for some time may well be aware that there is now a live website for the official government of Bir Tawil. So the website, for those who don't know, will be in the description below, so you can tune in and keep up to date. But it has been a busy couple of weeks in relation to what's been going on in the Kingdom of Bir Tawil. There's been several announcements as to action that will be taken shortly. Amongst these are indications that the government of Bir Tawil are now putting pressure on the United Nations for membership. And the key reason for that is the Immigration Act that came into force on the 2nd of May this year, put in the priority applicants who we're trying to get settled in the kingdom are people who are displaced through violence across Sudan. So those applicants are priority. They've been told in the Immigration Act that they are eligible to apply for citizenship of Bir Tawil. And one of the reasons I'm so keen to get these people into the Kingdom of Bir Tawil is because they are enduring tremendously harsh conditions at the moment. Camps were set up almost 10 years ago now to try to assist such people to escape violence and a life of drudgery. However, these camps are, well, they were temporary measures, but they're still there. Many of the people who are in the camps don't know where else they would go. They have nowhere to go. And so an up-and-coming kingdom such as Bir Tawil will be a haven for such people. Now, at the moment, the UN are funding these camps, but they have people living in squalor. And it's not fair on those people who can't get their lives on track. Their destiny is not to live in a UN displacement camp with just the bare minimum being provided. So I say unto the United Nations, it is far better to put that funding towards the state of Bir Tawil, because Bir Tawil will be opening its borders to refugees from everywhere, from all directions. But in particular, initially, the first intake we imagine is going to be in the local community, i.e. from South Sudan or anywhere across Sudan where there is the need. So that is why pressure is now being put on the UN to act. In addition to that, the Immigration Act has been amended to allow, well, there's two amendments. The first one to allow for refugees from Yemen to actually get citizenship. Again, it's recognized that people in Yemen are in a disastrous situation. Famine had already overtaken the kingdom before COVID-19 had hit. I say the kingdom, it's the country of Yemen is what I mean. So I get so used to talking about the kingdom all the time. But the kingdom of Bir Tawil recognizes that people in Yemen are in need of a safe haven. And so the Immigration Act has been amended to allow them as priority applicants. They are indeed eligible. And so I say to the UN again, we have people suffering in Sudan through displacement. We have people suffering in Yemen. Now, it's far better to have the resources put towards a state that's building so that these people can have somewhere, they can have a national identity that they can be proud of, rather than living life in a displacement camp or fleeing somewhere else. They can be part of the state of Bir Tawil, which essentially I see as a state that's made up fundamentally of refugees. So that is the current focus, to get the UN to pay attention. Now, I originally wrote to the UN in March, just after my coronation, just to make an application for the state of Bir Tawil to join. And I have not, as of yet, had a response from the UN, but the pressure that I'm putting on the UN, in part, is for a formal response to my application. I've pointed out to the Secretary General that actually the UN's own regulations on how they process applications states that the Secretary General will immediately put any application before the Security Council, and there must be a response. It simply can't be ignored. And so I am pursuing with all diligence the response from the UN. I've asked the Secretary General whether he has complied with the established procedure and placed the application before the Security Council, or whether he has decided to depart from the established procedure for some reason. And if so, I've asked him to explain that. And so the application will be processed in accordance with international law, in accordance with the regulations that the UN is labouring under. And I will ensure that an appropriate response is received. If for any reason the state of Bir Tawil does not gain membership in the United Nations, I will carefully consider the reason given as to why the state has not been given membership, and then shall adapt accordingly to come back with something that amends the position to ensure membership. So I'm absolutely dedicated to obtaining membership of the United Nations. I think it's only right. Bir Tawil is a peace-loving state. We want to provide support to all those desperately in need, and there's never been a more crucial time to establish a safe haven for all such refugees than this time we live in now. And that is why all my energy is going into chasing up the UN and getting this established. Now, I don't need the UN authority to say, yes, Bir Tawil is a sovereign state. Bir Tawil is a sovereign state in its own right. I want to make that clear. The whole point of joining the UN is that more resources open up, and it's good to work in a framework of mutual recognition and cooperation. And in that sense, joining the United Nations, Bir Tawil will gain much greater resources, and in turn will be able to help a much wider array of people. So things will simply move a lot more quickly once it's recognised that Bir Tawil, well, are members of the United Nations. So thank you again for tuning in. Please stay tuned to this channel, and if you haven't already subscribed, please click the subscribe button. Also, if you haven't seen the website yet, please keep an eye on the website, and also keep an eye on the news in the website. Because I try to update the Kingdom news as frequently as possible. So there's a lot happening. All the work is coming together. Things are soon going to be visually taking place, where you'll see the development of Bir Tawil, and that will be shown both on this YouTube channel and on my website. Thank you again. Have a pleasant day. Until next time.